Who is this?
My mother.
And who is this?
My sister.
What is this right here?
My mother's arm.
Your mother's arm?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What does this mean right here? She did.
Died.
What?
She died.
She died. Okay.
This is the story of 7-year-old Adriana Hutto of Esto, Florida. On August 8th, 2007, Adriana's mother, Amanda Lewis, called 911 stating she found her daughter in the pool not breathing. Amanda Lewis was a 27-year-old single mother and nurse's assistant in a nursing home. She said her life was happy, quiet, and calm. She described Adriana as an attention seeker, funny, outgoing, happy, and a lot like herself. Her son, AJ, who was 6, was described as quiet and a child who was easily entertained on his own. On August 8th, she was getting ready to take the children shopping for school supplies when AJ came into the house and said Adriana was in the pool. When she went outside, she found Adriana face down and not breathing. Her lips were purple and water was coming from her nose. She called 911 and Adriana was airlifted to the nearest hospital, but was pronounced dead an hour later. Initially, authorities believed her, stating no indications of foul play. But within hours, they had video evidence of AJ stating his mother unalived his sister because she had done something she wasn't supposed to, and his mama dunked her in the pool. He repeated the story again multiple times to CPS, stating she dunked her in the pool. The police launched an investigation and discovered troubling details of Adriana and Lewis's relationship. Adriana had ADHD and was a habitual bedwetter. Lewis admitted to having trouble initially bonding with Adriana. When investigators searched the home, they found it smelled of urine and the children's rooms were empty and devoid of toys. Lewis claimed she had taken the toys as punishment for not cleaning their rooms, but was going to give them back. She claimed they were stored in the shed, but when investigators looked, there were no toys in the shed. The ER doctor said Lewis's behavior was strange for someone who had lost a child. When she was told Adriana was deceased, she showed no emotion and instead asked for the vending machine. Lewis's family and her lawyer argued her actions were very telling, stating on her 911 call she was hysterical and even threw up. Lewis also took and passed a polygraph test. A child expert, Dr. Stephen Sessi, testified that you could get a 6-year-old to agree to anything. He also described AJ as developmentally delayed, stating he was more like a 4-year-old than a 6-year-old. Sessi also showed in his experiments you can manipulate a child into making outrageous statements. He believed that an adult had coached AJ before he met with police because of how detailed and gruesome his story was. Lewis and her family members believe that her step-grandfather, Charles Burns, who arrived at the scene 30 minutes after the drowning, coached AJ. He spent 15 minutes after the incident driving him to his home. He was married to Amanda Lewis's mom at the time, but they are now divorced. Lewis's mother said she wouldn't doubt that he would coach AJ because he didn't like Lewis. Burns said he didn't coach him, but he did admit that he did not like Lewis. He felt that she was a bad mother and that she let the kids starve. This led to a deep dive into Amanda's past. When Amanda was a teenager, she had a little boy who at 16 months suddenly stopped breathing. Autopsy showed the baby died from a seizure disorder, but with Adriana's death, people were raising suspicion. Lewis was charged with first-degree unaliving and faced life in prison without parole. She rejected a 10-year plea deal. In 2008, she went to trial with AJ as the prosecutor's star witness. AJ, who hadn't seen his mother in 6 months, didn't recognize her, but then when he realized it was her, he broke down. Once he regained his composure, he pointed out his mother as Adriana's unaliver, but his stories were still conflicting. First, he couldn't say where he was at the time of the crime. Then he said Adriana drowned outside the pool. Then he said he didn't know she drowned. And lastly, he said she slipped in the pool cleaning bugs out of it. However, prosecutors argued AJ made 27 matching statements on the day of the drowning that were confirmed, and witnesses said Adriana had a fear of the water. 3 of Lewis's coworkers testified that she wanted to unalive Adriana after she marked her car up with permanent marker. Lewis said she would never do that to her children, but the most damning evidence would be bruises on Adriana's forehead that seemed to correlate to AJ's story. After only 2 hours, the jury found Amanda Lewis guilty of first-degree unaliving and child abuse and sentenced her to life in prison without parole. What do you guys think about a 6-year-old testifying in an unaliving trial? Do you think the jury got this right? At the time of Audriana's death, drowning was the #1 cause of death among children in Florida.